All right, you guys, it is time for tier list number 2 of this week, and I'm pretty sure this is one that you guys are gonna like. At least this is one that I'm excited for, and I hope you guys are excited for it as well. As you can see by the title, today we're going to be doing a tier list of every single legendary card in all of Clash Royale. There are a total of 17 legendaries, and they definitely fluctuate between the tier list rankings. Like, there's really only a couple legendaries that I personally believe are in the S tier, and they really are fluctuating in between the rest of the tiers. So I say, without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. What do you guys say about that? I say we go ahead and do it. One thing though, I will say that this tier list is my opinion yet again. I will be showing you guys stats because I like looking at stats. I am a nerd like that. But this tier list is my opinion on the legendary card, how fun it is to use, how effective it is, and just how much I love the card in general. So as we can see, we have all of the legendaries in Clash Royale on this tier list template, except for one of them, which is the Fisherman. But I'm just gonna go ahead and get the Fisherman out of the way because I think we all know where the Fisherman belongs. And the Fisherman, I'll put an image of him in here or something like that. But the Fisherman belongs in the F tier down here. If we go over and look at wrong page, if we go over and look at the stats of the Fisherman, we can see right here it is less than a 1% usage rate and only a 36% win rate, which is by far the worst out of any legendary card in Clash Royale, making it deserving of being in the F tier. Next up, we're going to take a look at the Magic Archer. The Magic Archer has been changed so much in Clash Royale's history. But right now, when looking at the Magic Archer, we can see that my man is pretty consistent, doing pretty well in the Clash Royale meta. We can see that he has a 12% usage rate and a 49% win rate. And those are definitely very solid numbers. They are not the numbers where it used to be, where he was like consistently 25% usage rate. But the Magic Archer is still definitely a very solid card in Clash Royale and definitely deserving of being in the A tier. Honestly, the exact same thing applies for the Electro Wizard. The Electro Wizard has remained consistent in Clash Royale, always been a solid card, and as you can see right now, it is still a solid card in Clash Royale. Looking at the Electro Wizard, it is a 15% usage rate and a 50% win rate, which again is definitely very solid and makes it deserving of being in the A tier. Next up, we are going to look at the Ram Rider, the card that Night Owl believes should be nerfed in every single balance changes, but it really shouldn't be nerfed in every single balance changes because the Ram Rider is actually pretty balanced. And yes, I did say that the Ram Rider is a pretty balanced card. Her usage rates are somewhat low, actually, as you can see, 4% usage rate, but she's a fairly solid win rate at 49%. And the Ram Rider is a very solid card in Clash Royale, I will tell you that right now. I don't believe it's deserving of the A tier with cards like the Magic Archer and the Electro Wizard, but the Ram Rider is still a very solid card, and I will definitely put it in the B tier without any hesitation. And then next up, we have the Graveyard. Now, if this tier list was made a couple of metas ago, or really even just last meta, the Graveyard would 100% have been an S tier card because the Splash Yard archetype was arguably the best archetype in all of Clash Royale. But the Graveyard has since fallen off a bit, mainly because of the nerfs to cards like the Spawners and things like that. But the Earthquake, or not the Earthquake, why'd I say the Earthquake? Jeez, man. But the Graveyard is still a pretty decent card in Clash Royale, as you can see right here. 11% usage rate and a pretty decent win rate at 55%. That is definitely very above average win rate. And the Graveyard is mainly doing well because it's primarily been paired with cards like the Giant now. Splash Yard isn't really doing too hot anymore, but when you pair the Graveyard with the Giant, that is still a formidable combo, and so I will put the Graveyard into the B tier. Again, not quite where it once was just a couple of metas ago, but the Graveyard is still a very, very solid win condition and legendary card in Clash Royale. And then next up, we have the Trash Can on Wheels. That's such a dead meme at this point, honestly. The Sparky. The Sparky really isn't a trash can on wheels. Sure, the Sparky may have used to been a trash can on wheels, but the Sparky is viable in Clash Royale. It has been for the longest time, honestly. So looking at the stats for the Sparky, we have a 5% usage rate and a 49% win rate, which are definitely pretty solid stats. And I'm going to put the Sparky into the B tier. Not a trash can on wheels, but it's honestly not as great as some of the other legendaries in Clash Royale. And then next up, we have my girl. Yes, this card is actually a girl, the Lava Hound. So the Lava Hound is kind of in the same situation as the Ram Rider. It has somewhat of a low usage rate in the Clash Royale, as you can see, 4% usage rate and a 53% win rate. But the Lava Hound is still a very solid card, as shown by that 53% win rate. 53% is above most cards in Clash Royale. As you can see, a lot of cards are in the high 40s, low 40s, kind of mid-tier 50s, but the Lava Hound is good at a 53% win rate, and it is going to belong in the B tier. Next up, we have the Inferno Dragon. So the Inferno Dragon is an interesting case. Really, the Inferno Dragon is paired really only with another legendary card on this list, which is the Mega Knight. Really, when Mega Knight is doing good, the Inferno Dragon is doing good because they pair so well with each other. And looking at the stats, we can see the Mega Knight is doing pretty well, which means the Inferno Dragon is not too far behind as well. 7% usage rate, 44% win rate. The Inferno Dragon is a very solid card in Clash Royale and has it deserving of the B tier. There are so many B tier cards, and there's gonna be so many more B tier cards in this tier list. It's actually kind of crazy. Then next up, we have the Ice Wizard. So this is probably going to be the first controversial ranking on this tier list. But let's go ahead and talk about the Ice Wizard for a bit. So I think a lot of people thought the Ice Wizard would suffer a lot, honestly, because of the rework to the Tornado. But really, the Ice Wizard has still remained pretty strong. It still has a 9% usage rate, and actually, its win rate has gone up a little bit since the Tornado rework, with it being at 51% compared to where it used to be at around 48 or 49%. And because the Ice Wizard still can synergize well with the Tornado pretty much, and because it still has that unique ability of slowing down troops and all of that for only 3 elixir, I am going to put the Ice Wizard into the A tier. Again, this is probably controversial, but again, this is my opinion. Next up, we're going to take a look at the Lumberjack. So the Lumberjack, of course, has had better days, as I think most of us really do know. The Lumberjack has had better days, but the Lumberjack is still solid. It is still solid, especially with the nerf to the mini pack of the Lumberjack's usage rates have gone up a bit, and with those usage rates going up, so have the win rates. As you can see, it's nothing staggering, 6% usage rate and a 46% win rate. Again, nothing staggering, but the Lumberjack, still a pretty solid card. I just got a Twitch notification. Interesting. But the Lumberjack definitely belongs into the B tier, I feel. Next up, we have the Bandit. I actually made an interesting comment in one of my recent videos talking about how I would date the Bandit. I don't know why I said that. Just ignore that. But the Bandit, she's a really good card in Clash Royale. As P.E.K.K.A. has come back into the meta, so has the Bandit a little bit. 14% usage rate, 51% win rate, the 18th highest usage rate in the entire game. And she's surrounded by some pretty good company, as we can see. And the Bandit, because of her effectiveness and being a pretty good secondary win condition for only 3 elixir, I'm going to put the Bandit into the A tier. And then next up, we have our very first S tier legendary on this list, and that of course is going to be the Log. In my last video where I ranked every spell in Clash Royale on a tier list, I talked about the Log a little bit, but really there isn't that much to say about the Log. The Log is overall just a very solid card. I mean, you can't go wrong with having the Log in your deck. It knocks back every troop in the game, it's 2 elixir, and it can reach the Crown Tower if you need the spell cycle, and overall the Log is just very solid. As you can see by the stats, 32% usage rate and a 48% win rate. The Log is definitely deserving of being in the S tier. And this next card is also deserving of being in the S tier. And this next card, of course, is the Miner. The Miner, even though it got nerfed to do less damage to Crown Towers, the Miner is... You can't go wrong with the Miner. The Miner literally has an archetype of its own. And if it isn't used in that archetype of its own Miner cycle, the Miner is still definitely usable in many other decks. There's a whole nother archetype. Sorry, I just hit my microphone, which is called Lava Miner. There's also Giant Miner. You can run the Miner with most anything. Balloon Miner. I can just keep rattling them off. But the Miner is very solid. You can't go wrong with the Miner. 27% usage rate and a very, very high win rate at 55%. The Miner, again, deserving of being in the S tier. And then next up, we have the Royal Ghost. Now, this one is a little bit interesting. So the Royal Ghost has started to resurge a little bit in the meta, and that is primarily because of the return of P.E.K.K.A. bridge spam. Once again, if we look at the stats for the Royal Ghost, we can see it has a 5% usage rate and a 49% win rate. And even though its usage rate is higher than that of the Lava Hound and the Ram Rider, for me personally, I just don't see the versatility of the Royal Ghost. In my opinion, if you want something that is a ground card that can do splash splash damage, I'm going to go with something such as the Dark Prince up here. The Royal Ghost, it is good in the 1 P.E.K.K.A. bridge spam deck, but it really isn't good anywhere else, and because of its somewhat lack of versatility, I'm going to put the Royal Ghost into the C tier. Then next up, we have my girl, the Princess, one of the first legendaries in Clash Royale, along with the Ice Wizard. Now, the Princess, again, she has remained consistent throughout most of Clash Royale. She's had a few balance changes, but really ever since the inception of Logbait, the Princess has stayed in the meta. So if we go ahead and look at the stats for my girl, the Princess, she has a 6% usage rate, and actually, her win rate is a little bit lower than I would expect at 41%. But the Princess, even with that somewhat low win rate, if I can speak, the Princess is a very solid card in Clash Royale and deserving of the B tier. And then next up, we have my favorite card in all of Clash Royale. For those of you that don't know, the Night Witch is my favorite card in Clash Royale. She always has been my favorite card in Clash Royale, at least since she's been released. She's been my favorite card, and she is so good. It's mainly because I play a lot of beatdown decks, and that's where she shines the most, in Golem, Elixir Golem, and Giant decks. But she's also kind of started to rise in a bit of Mega Knight decks. But the Night Witch is, again, a very solid card. The Night Witch is actually better than most legendaries in Clash Royale, with a 14% usage rate and a 51% win rate. And because the Night Witch is a very good card, and also because I love her so much, she will belong into the A tier. And then last, but certainly not least, we have the Mega Knight. I feel like so many people use the Mega Knight, but I don't know. The stats really aren't there for the Mega Knight. Like, you would expect the Mega Knight to have somewhere around like a 20% usage rate, because a lot of people, at least in my community, that, you know, talk about decks, they always suggest like a Mega Knight deck. And I honestly don't use the Mega Knight a lot. I've used it a little bit in the past, but not that much. He's actually my lowest level legendary. I only have the Mega Knight level 10, surprisingly. But the Mega Knight, even though I don't use it a lot, it is still a very good card. 11% usage rate, 50% win rate, number 27 out of all the cards in Clash Royale. And for being a pretty decent card, the Mega Knight will go into the A tier. So yeah, gamers, that is actually going to wrap it up for this legendary tier list. I think this tier list really shows that most of the legendaries in Clash Royale are either really good in the game or pretty balanced, except for the Fisherman and the Royal Ghost maybe. All of these cards are definitely usable in Clash Royale in many situations, and even the Royal Ghost is usable in one deck. The Fisherman is really the only outlier because it really isn't usable in that many situations. But yeah, most of the legendaries in Clash Royale are definitely above average cards. But yeah, gamers, that's going to wrap it up for this other tier list video. I hope you guys did enjoy this tier list video. And if you did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like down below. I would greatly appreciate you leaving a like. And also, if you're new here and you like Clash Royale, then be sure to subscribe to the channel down below as I upload Clash Royale videos. And I'm also mixing some Brawl Stars into the channel as well. And also, for those of you that care, I'll be uploading a Q&A video tomorrow. That's my 2,000 subscriber special. Again, thank you guys for 2,000 subscribers. It really does mean the world to me. But anyway, guys, this is SolarFury signing off. Peace out, guys. Have a nice day.